It all starts with a question: what are you really building? You've been working hard. Building, saving, planning for the future. And on the surface, it looks like you're doing everything right. But pause for just a second and ask yourself this. What if all the treasure you're stacking up is designed to fade? What if the foundation you trust so deeply, your career, your investments, your security blanket, is already quietly crumbling? It's a question most of us avoid, because facing it head-on means admitting something uncomfortable, that everything we work for in this world is temporary. And that truth is hard to swallow when we live in a culture that tells us more is better, bigger is safer, success equals stuff. Let me tell you a story. It's about a man, let's call him David. David was the picture of success. He built a massive business empire from scratch. By 50, he owned multiple homes, luxury cars, and had more money in his accounts than most people dream of. From the outside, he had it all, but inside, David was restless. Even with all his wealth, he couldn't shake this nagging fear that it could all fall apart. A market crash, a health scare, a betrayal. He was constantly anxious, always guarding, always looking over his shoulder. And here's what hit me: even at the top, he wasn't free. Jesus knew this struggle long before Wall Street or 401 KS existed. That's why he said in Matthew 6:19, "Do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal." Notice, he wasn't being harsh. He was being honest. Jesus saw through the illusion that earthly wealth promises security but never truly delivers. And here's the real question we have to wrestle with today. What was Jesus warning us about, and why does his message still hit so hard, even now? In our modern world, that's exactly what we're going to unpack in this video, breaking down not just what Jesus said about wealth, but why it matters more than ever, and how you can step into a kind of freedom that no amount of money can buy. The silent trap: how earthly treasures hijack your heart. Here's something most of us don't realize. The real danger of wealth isn't just in having it, it's in how quietly it starts to own you. At first, it's harmless. You get a promotion. You buy your first home. You feel secure, proud, even grateful. And that's all good. God isn't against you having good things. But slowly, almost without noticing, something shifts. That sense of security, it starts to anchor your heart. The promotion isn't just a job boost anymore, it becomes your identity. The savings account isn't just a safety net, it becomes your comfort zone. And before long, what started as a blessing begins to morph into a master. Jesus knew this better than anyone. That's why he said something so piercing in Matthew 6:21, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." We usually read that verse and think, okay, my heart follows where I invest. But look closer. It's deeper than that. Jesus is telling us, you don't really control your treasure. Your treasure controls you. Whatever you prioritize, whatever you pour your energy, time, and thoughts into, that thing will quietly hijack your heart. It's subtle. It's slow. And that's what makes it so dangerous. Think about it like this. Have you ever caught yourself obsessing over something you didn't even realize mattered that much to you? A project at work? The way people perceive you? Even something simple, like likes and follows on social media. That's the silent trap. Your treasure isn't just money, it's anything that slowly takes the throne in your life. Anything that starts calling the shots on your peace, your worth, your focus. So right now, let's pause for a moment and get real. Ask yourself, what am I really chasing today? Not just in theory, be honest. What are you thinking about the most? What's keeping you up at night? What's the thing you keep checking, planning, or stressing over? Grab a pen if you can. Write down 3 things that have been occupying your mind and heart the most this week. Now, look at each one and ask, is this treasure eternal? Or is this something that fades? This isn't about shame. It's about clarity. Because the first step to freedom is knowing exactly where your heart is being pulled. And here's the good news. Once you see it, you can start shifting it gently, intentionally back toward what truly lasts. The great illusion of control, why we think we can balance it all. Here's something that hits close to home for so many of us. We believe we can balance it all. We tell ourselves, I can love God and still chase my financial goals just as hard. I can keep my faith strong and still hold tight to my wealth, my plans, my comfort. It sounds smart. It sounds reasonable. In fact, it sounds like the responsible thing to do, but Jesus, he cuts right through that illusion. In Matthew 6:24, he says it flat out, no one can serve two masters. You cannot serve both God and money. Notice he doesn't say it's hard. He says it's impossible. Why? Because wealth, whether it's money, success, or even just the security we build around ourselves, has a sneaky way of becoming a rival god. At first, it feels like you're the one in control. You manage your budget. You invest wisely. You give a little here and there. It all looks balanced. But over time, the scales start to tip. And before you realize it, money or the comfort it provides is calling the shots on your decisions, your peace, even your faith. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We can't keep one foot in the kingdom of God and one foot in the kingdom of self-protection. It doesn't work. And Jesus wasn't being cruel when he said that. He was protecting us from a tug of war that will tear our souls in two. So how do we break free from this illusion of control? One small, powerful practice that's helped me, and I want to invite you to try it too, is what I call a pause spending day. Once a week, pick one day where you intentionally choose not to spend any money on yourself. No online shopping. Not little treat yourself moments. Not even a fancy coffee run. Instead, use that day to focus fully on God's presence. Pray, journal, serve someone, spend time simply being without grasping for more. It's amazing what happens when you do this. You start to notice how often you reach for comfort in small purchases. You realize how easily money can become a silent safety net, even in ways that seem harmless. And little by little, you train your heart to loosen its grip, not because money is evil, but because freedom is better. From temporary wealth to eternal treasure, redefining success. Whenever we talk about money and faith, there's often this misunderstanding that Jesus wants us to hate wealth. That being spiritual means you have to be poor, live small, and reject all forms of success. But the truth, that's not what Jesus taught. Jesus wasn't against wealth itself. He was against the misplaced trust we often put in it. He wasn't saying don't have money. He was saying don't let money have you. And more importantly, he was inviting us to shift our focus away from what fades and toward what lasts forever. In Matthew 6:20, Jesus says, "But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and rust do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal." That's the heart of it. Jesus isn't asking you to empty your life of treasure. He's asking you to invest in the right treasure. So, what are these heavenly treasures? They're not things you can hold in your hands. They're the invisible, eternal things that God treasures most: acts of kindness that no one else sees, forgiveness extended even when it's hard, compassion poured out on someone who can't repay you, moments of pure faith when you trust God even in the dark. Every single time you love when it's hard, every time you choose mercy over revenge, every time you lift someone up without looking for recognition, you're building treasure that can't be stolen, broken, or lost. That is true success. That's the kind of wealth heaven celebrates. So right now, I want to invite you to do something simple but powerful. Pick one eternal treasure to invest in today. Think of someone who's hurt you and choose forgiveness. Even if you can't say it out loud yet, start by releasing it in your heart. Think of someone who's struggling and offer help without expecting anything in return. Or pause right now and pray for someone you know is in deep pain. Hold their name before God and ask for His mercy to cover them. It might feel small. It might feel like no one notices. But heaven notices. And every time you make these choices, you are laying down bricks in a treasure house that will never fade. At the end of the day, Jesus isn't asking you to live with less meaning. He's inviting you to live with more purpose, to build something that outlives you and echoes into eternity. Wrap up freedom that lasts forever. As we come to the end of this journey, I want you to pause and let this truth sink in. Jesus doesn't want you poor. He wants you free. Free from anxiety. Free from the endless chase. Free from the lie that your worth rises and falls with your bank account. The world tells you that success is measured by how much you can hold on to. But Jesus flips that script completely. He shows us that real success, real peace, comes not from storing up treasures that fade, but from living with open hands, anchored in a treasure that can never be taken away. When you stop gripping so tightly to what won't last, You start stepping into a life where nothing, no loss, no crisis, no downturn can steal your peace. That is the kind of freedom Jesus offers. And that is the kind of freedom you were made for. So, as you head back into your day, I want to encourage you, don't let this message stay with you alone. If today's reflection stirred something in your heart, pass it along to someone who may need a fresh breath of hope, someone who's been feeling the weight of the world on their shoulders. And stay connected with us, because next time, we're diving even deeper into what true, lasting provision from God really looks like, how to build a life of security that this world can't shake. Until then, hold this close. You are seen, you are loved, and you are always safest when your treasure is in His hands.